Kia ora everyone. A little bit late for a Facebook Live. I've just finished speaking virtually at a conference in Madrid on the Madrid Protocol around Antarctica, but that's probably not why you've jumped on this Facebook Live with me now, so I won't spend too much time on that. Look, I just wanted to check in with everyone and spend a little bit of time talking about some of the announcements that we made today, some of which are changes for the near future, some of which we just wanted to give people a bit of a guide for future decision making, even though some of those decisions won't be immediate because we still need to be really cautious as we make decisions in Auckland. So just to recap what we decided today. Cabinet decided that for Auckland, we wouldn't make a step into level 2. Instead, we'll keep Auckland in level 3 restrictions, but make some tweaks while we're there. And those tweaks that we're making are based on the public health advice that we've had from Dr. Bloomfield and his team. Over the last week, they've been looking at the outbreak in Auckland and looking specifically at all the restrictions that we have in place and assessing those restrictions which, if we ease them, would have the lowest risk for Auckland and allow Auckland to continue to do all of the incredible work they've been doing so far to continue to stamp out COVID and the cases we have there. So when they did that risk assessment, their view was that there were 3 things that we could change and still continue that really hard work of stamping out cases and controlling the outbreak that we have there. The first change was in their view that we could allow 2 households to meet up to a maximum of 10 people, outdoors. Now, the really important thing here is the outdoors bit. I remember when I sat down with the public health team and quizzed them on that, that recommendation, they said that was the bit that makes it low risk, being outside. Because as we've learnt with COVID and in particular Delta, ventilation matters a huge amount. And so when you're outside, it just makes the risk that much lower, which is why they've made that recommendation that people will be able to go outside and connect with people. But again, 2 households capped at 10. But if you remember anything, just remember the outside part. We don't want people going around to one another's houses. We don't want people going to other venues. The outside bit's really key. So you can go for a walk in a park with a friend that you haven't seen in a long time, or go and have a picnic. Some people have asked for a little bit more guidance on what you do when you go out, and here we'd say, of course, we've always encouraged people to put masks on when they go out, and we continue to encourage that, and we continue to encourage people to socially distance as well. The second change is to early childhood education, and this was, again, an assessment that the public health team made for people to be able to engage back again with their children in early childhood education. We're asking early childhood education teachers to get a test, though, before they go back as an added layer of confidence for them and their parents. And also we're looking at more regular testing regimes in early childhood education as well. And in the beginning, you'll remember when we first went into lockdown, we had a requirement for early childhood education that had them working in bubbles of 10. So that's something that would continue to encourage early childhood education. We're still encouraging them to do as part of this as well. I'm trying to read some of the comments as I go and store them away so I can cover them off as I'm talking to you as well. And the third change is just the ability for people to move a little bit more around Auckland in order to be able to go to a park or visit a beach or something like that outdoors as well, because again, that's considered to be safe from the public health team. So, Jamie Lee, you have asked whether or not you can meet with more than one household in a day. Yes, you can, because of course we can't police how many households you meet with, but we're asking for each occasion when you're meeting outside, just to keep it to 1. And that's just, again, a cumulative risk issue. So that's why we've done it in that way. I am asking. I'm getting a few questions about differences between what we've done today and level 2. Lots of differences. Hospitality still remains closed. Retail still remains closed. We have not opened schools generally. And of course, at level 2, you can have mass gatherings between 50 and 100. We're not having any of that. So you can see level 2 is a very different set of restrictions than what we have said today. So 3 changes that our public health team have considered to be really low risk. Then beyond that, you'll see that we've set out 2 extra phases. But we haven't given a timeline to move into those for Auckland, and that's because we do need to continue to assess risk at every single phase. So weekly, we'll assess how we're doing before we make another decision on the next phase. Indicatively, we said the next phase then would bring on retail in step 2, and step 3 would be when you look to bring on hospitality, but we're not ready for any of that in Auckland yet. So that's just to give you a quick overview. Bottom line, Auckland remains in level 3. We've given you the ability to see a loved one or a friend outside because that's low risk. But other than that, we really are asking people to continue to work with the restrictions as they are, because we do need to continue to control this outbreak in Auckland. There are other things that you can do. For us, though, and that is continue to encourage people around you to be vaccinated. Incredibly important. We've got over 83% of Aucklanders have had their first dose now. We want to get to 90 plus, though. So close. So please encourage anyone you know who's got questions or doubts. Have a chat to them, talk to them, give them a chance to be heard, and together we can continue to increase vaccination rates. Look, before I go, I've just seen a comment here from Hayley. You've said, as a teacher, you're feeling concerned about heading back to school. Just to, again, highlight Hayley here and to anyone on the chat. So at the moment, the public health team have said that they believe that at this point, they believe it will be safe on the 18th of October to return to school. We've not made that final decision yet. We've just simply shared what the advice to us has been. We are going to review that again in a week's time. In the meantime, the Ministry of Education is preparing advice on, if that were to happen, what we would do with mask use, testing, assemblies, things that we would do in schools to try and keep everyone there safe. In the meantime, Hayley, we're continuing to encourage particularly our 12 pluses and their families to go and be vaccinated. Chris, no, just not micromanaging, just managing a pandemic here, my friend. Some people have asked about mandating of vaccines. We've done that for a very limited group of people, and it's mostly been those who have really direct contact with COVID. However, we are out talking with our health workforce at the moment about vaccine mandates there because they interact with vulnerable people. Lynn, you've asked why we've got the South Island licked up. I think, Lynn, you obviously, I won't be smart about it. Obviously, you're referring to the South Island being locked up. I would contend that it's not. Obviously, we do have some restrictions there, the same as the rest of the country, and that's because, as you've seen, we've had now a COVID case pass through Tauranga, Palmerston North, and Hamilton and Raglan. We've got a border control at Auckland, but we are still moving goods and services throughout the country. And those goods and services go into the South Island as well. So, of course, we're doing everything we can to stop its movement. But what our view is, as you were seeing with Palmerston North, we found a case there, but we didn't have to put Palmerston North into restrictions because we had the ability to contact trace around that. And that, in part, was helped because everyone was in a level 2 environment and extra caution there. So by keeping the South Island in the same way, that means if we do have a case there, less likely to have to use higher alert levels. So it's a really precautionary approach, and it's helping us keep COVID out. So, oh, Helen, that seems like an unusual set of circumstances. I'm not sure whether or not you're referring to people being able to go to cafes and sitting less than a metre apart, but your sewing group can't meet. I'm not sure that would be, I'm not sure why that would be, Helen. That doesn't seem to make too much sense to me. I'm not sure what part of the country you are in. So feel free, if hopefully if I see your comments, I might be able to give you a bit more of a response. Pauline, I hope that these announcements today give you a little bit more comfort, because I can only imagine 2 months with someone at home alone is really, really tough, which is what we've been thinking about with the changes that we've made today as well. Rosalind, we are not doing what you've claimed there. Now you've said with 80% of Aucklanders vaxxed, why lock us down? Unfortunately, it's first dose, 83% first dose. At the moment, just looking at where I keep my updates of our vaccine numbers, closer to 50% double vaccinated at this point. So once we get a few more people double vaccinated, then that will make all the difference. So please just keep encouraging everyone to do that. Okay. Try to cover off some of your questions today. Thank you very much, everyone, for jumping on and sharing a few questions. And I will try and keep jumping on from time to time and pick up. Dan, I'm sorry about you've asked a question about hairdressers. You will have seen that is the third phase, what they call close personal services. So hairdressers are a little way off. We haven't put a timeline on that yet, but they're not in phase 1. So I am sorry about that. But he waka i ka noa. Otherwise, thank you everyone for joining me, and yeah, as I say, I'll keep jumping online from time to time and sharing as much information as I can. Till then, please look after yourselves out there, everyone. If you've got questions, leave them here, and I will try and pick them up in the future. Ka kite.